There are more and more children entering school who are from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. This means that many children speak more than one language or are learning English as a second language. This video is a parent-friendly resource that is designed to help you learn more about bilingual development and how to best support your child who speaks or is learning more than one language at home or at school. Bilingualism is when a child understands and uses two languages, even if their abilities in the two languages are not equal. Some children learn two languages from birth, and others learn one after another. Those children who learn English as a second language are referred to as English language learners. Meet Haya. Her family recently immigrated from Syria to Canada. Her first language is Arabic. Haya's mother and father, who are English language learners themselves, are concerned that continuing to speak Arabic with her at home will negatively impact her academic achievements in an all-English school. It is important to continue to speak to your child in the language that you are most comfortable with at home. Haya's parents will be able to model complex language and support language skills such as reading in Arabic, which will later transfer to English in school. In addition, speaking your native language with your child helps to maintain their cultural heritage, which in turn fosters positive family relationships and ethnic identities. Here is Colin. At home, his fathers speak both French and English, but they are worried that learning two languages has confused Colin. He has started to mix up the words in his sentences. To start, learning two languages at once will not confuse children. It is amazing how infants and young children's brains can soak up information. Studies have shown that infants can distinguish the sounds of two languages and even recognize differences between how the two languages operate. When this happens, they start to form two separate word banks for each language, also called lexicons. The child will have different words in each lexicon, but they may also have words for the same thing in both languages. This is called lexical overlap. What Colin's parents described when he is not able to keep the two languages separate is something called code switching, and it is typical of bilingual children. In fact, adults who are bilingual code switch too. A child may code switch because they cannot think of the word they need to say in the language they are speaking at the time. Most of the time, children are very aware of the other speakers in their environment and will adjust their speaking accordingly. Alina has just entered an English-speaking school. Her teacher has reported that she is not speaking at all, but her parents who speak Russian at home say that she is still chatty in Russian. What Alina is exhibiting is something referred to as the silent period, and it can occur for those children who are suddenly exposed to a new language environment. During this period, children like Alina are focusing on listening and understanding the language around them. This is similar to what an adult may do when they travel to a foreign country. During this stage, children should be given opportunities and encouraged to participate using whatever spoken skills they have. How long a child stays in the silent period will depend on many factors. Longer silent periods can occur, but children who seem anxious about talking may need to be investigated for selective mutism. Meet Roberto. His mother and father speak English and Spanish and are curious as to whether or not they should start to keep the languages separate, where his mother will only speak Spanish and his father will only speak English. Will this help Roberto learn the two languages quicker for school? The answer is no. There is no research to support that separating two languages is beneficial, whether it be to one parent or a time of day. It is also not necessary to establish one language before introducing another. Children benefit from hearing a variety of speakers speak the languages they are learning, and if Roberto's parents are both very comfortable and proficient in English and Spanish, then they should offer lots of opportunities for him to learn. Penelope is learning both Greek and English. She is learning English primarily at school. Her parents are very pleased with her language development, but her grandparents are concerned that learning two languages has put her behind all the other kids in school, and think that it is taking her longer to learn to speak. Penelope's grandparents picked up on something very important, but her parents may be right that there is no need for major concern. When children learn two languages, it is important to consider how many words they have in both languages. The rate of development in each individual language has been shown to be slower than a monolingual peer, but when you consider both languages together, bilingual children have been shown to have equal or even greater vocabularies than their peers. The types of vocabulary that the child knows in each language may differ as well, depending on where they are getting exposed to the language. For example, Penelope may know more words about the school curriculum in English and more words about daily routines in Greek. Here is Isabella. Her parents make an effort to speak mostly French at home, but also speak Portuguese occasionally. Since Isabella mostly speaks French, her French language skills will most likely be stronger than her Portuguese. Research has shown that this is often the case. Bilingual speakers will be stronger in one language than another. It all depends on how much the child is exposed to the language. It is important to note that a child who speaks most of the time in one language is not the same as a monolingual speaker. Olive learned the Oneida language and is learning English in an English school. Her family is concerned that she may be losing skills in her first language. It is important to reinforce and maintain a child's first language. If their first language is not protected, this can result in what is referred to as language loss and can result in subtractive bilingualism. A child is at an increased risk of subtractive bilingualism when their first language is a minority language that is not used in an educational setting or the greater community. A child must also remain motivated and supported to learn their first language. In Canada, there are more than 50 Aboriginal languages spoken, and in some communities, this language is the main form of communication. It is essential to support young children in their first language skills because language loss can negatively impact their future learning. Also, continuing to speak a minority language will help it to flourish for future generations despite the presence of majority languages that are a part of the wider community or school. Now that you have learned more about bilingualism and bilingual language development, here are some tips for how to best support your child in their daily lives. Quantity is just as important as quality. In order to best support your child, make sure that you are not only speaking with them often and giving them an opportunity to hear the language, but also that when you are speaking to them, you use rich language models. This means using a wide variety of words and sentences. As discussed earlier, you are encouraged to speak the language that you are most comfortable with. When people are comfortable with a language, they are more likely to use more vocabulary and vary their speech. If you are preparing your child for an English school, early exposure to English can be beneficial, as long as it is from a native English speaker. Research has shown that English skills at entry to school are predictive of academic success. In order to allow your child to benefit from early English models, you may choose to take your child to a local library, community events, or preschool, depending on your personal preferences, while maintaining their first language at home. Book reading is a fantastic way to support your bilingual child, whereas passive television watching has been shown to not be beneficial. The more native speakers a child listens to and speaks with, the better. Hearing multiple speakers' voices and getting the chance for more speaking opportunities has been shown to be helpful. There are many benefits to being bilingual, with the main one being that you can communicate in different languages. Research has also shown that children who are bilingual have better awareness of the individual sounds that make up words, and are better at focusing on a particular task while ignoring irrelevant information. If you are looking for more information about bilingualism and bilingual language development, feel free to speak with a speech-language pathologist in your local community. Happy talking!